This is KLEAN Radio, and it starts right now.
And by right now, we mean now. You are listening or looking live.
With a slight delay.
At 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
It's just in
But
case.
then why would you?
Just in case.
Now
man.
we can't say a lie.
It's just in case, man.
Tommy Davidson is here today.
I know. I'm
Maybe
excited.
that's why the delay.
No, we don't worry about you. Well, actually, I do.
Yeah.
But
People have lost their jobs over comedians.
you'll be fine. I just feel they have echo
About
in your
2
ear.
seconds.
It's like FM radio. We love it. Tommy Davidson is here, and Tommy's going to talk to us a little later about some things. We've got to get some business out of the way, though. It's KLEAN Radio. Our show call-in number, by the way, is 800-222-5222. That's 800-222-5222. KLEANradio.com, Facebook.com/KLEANradio. Our Twitter is @KLEANradio. Andrew's Twitter is @KLEANCEO.
Which is the most awesome Twitter handle ever.
But how are people going to know that it's you?
Because you keep talking about it every week.
All right, mine is POB Pat O'Brien. And Tommy Davidson's,
That
by
did
the
make
way.
sense.
That makes sense. Tommy's is @TommyCat. I assume that's a Sammy Davis Jr. reference.
Well, he was a very groovy cat, is what he was. But it wasn't because of that. But now that you say that, Pat, yes, cat.
First time I ever met him, you know what he said to me?
What did he say?
You're a cat, man.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
Real?
And then he saw me tap dance. You know that I do that. And he
I
said
did not
was
know
the
you did that.
He said I was the second best white tap dancer he'd ever seen. And then Tommy Toon being the first. And then he took me to all these tap clubs around
Seriously?
town. I saw Sammy Slide and Tommy.
Come on.
Yeah, and then I started to dance on a regular basis with Gregory Hines. But that's all.
Whoa.
And I can show you a video, blow your mind.
wanna see
anyway, so it's TommyCat.net.
No idea.
Andrew Spanswick is here because he knows everything and I don't. It's 800-222-5222. We want to start out today about a disturbing topic, and that's been this air crash in Germany, where the pilot killed himself. It was in France. It was a German airliner. Killed himself and 155 people. And what's pretty much everything is troubling about it. But now they've come out, and you've seen all the headlines that this pilot had apparently suffered from some depression. And what bothered us, or me anyway, Andrew, I'm sure it bothered Andrew too, is the headlines scream, madman at the wheel. And so depression, the stigma of depression has come out. We're not on this guy's side. I just feel bad for anybody who's ever had depression or going forward, that they now think that you're going to be that you're not fit to work anymore.
Yeah, we have this constant pressure between people being able to self-disclose their illnesses and get help from employers, or basically be discriminated against and fired. So it drives a lot of mental illness and addiction under the table, unfortunately. And we haven't found out good balances for that. In fact, most diversion programs that were set up for things like physicians and nurses have all been canceled. So now you basically have to lose your license in order to get help directly from like the AMA or state governing boards.
But I'm concerned, as I'm sure you are, that people with depression now will go underground and they'll see these headlines. And this poor guy.
As we continue to give away privacy more and more to the point where we really have no privacy almost, we're going to see all sorts of public policy being made around what's in your blood, what's in your system. So things like your medical record, your mental health record, these are things that are going to be markers, and they're going to be looking for antidepressants and stuff like that, and employment decisions and stuff like that. Without the right public policy, are going to end up being targets for discriminating against people.
When people come to a KLEAN center and tell you or your counselors they have depression, I don't know what you can give out here, but what do they say to you? Do they come right out with it, or do they say,
I mean, a lot of people
depressed.
that I see actually first, they come in because they're self-medicating if they have depression, or they're so depressed from their drug use that, that it's just obvious. But, a lot of people are in denial about depression too. And a lot of people still think there's a huge stigma about being depressed. And so they don't want to appear weak. We see that especially with young men who are addicted and have mental health issues. They're actually the most likely to cover them up.
And I thought, and Tommy Davidson, we're going to spend a lot of time with him. But Tommy, I thought
You guys were getting real deep on me right
well,
there.
no, let's,
I was like,
because you're going to have a part of this too. Because
this was something else.
Our dear friend Robin Williams,
Yeah.
was depressed. In fact, 44,000 people last year died of depression. But that was just
That's what we know of.
that was that's what we know of. Yeah, but that was 24/7 on the internet and on the television. And it was, what they didn't do is get into a conversation about depression.
Well, I mean, you connect that to that crash, and I'm sure that the subject just turns into confetti in a way. Starts to divide. Is the first thought you have as a person that suffers from depression is going to crash a plane? There's some other stuff going on.
Right. I mean, the odds of crashing in a plane are 1 in 11 million.
Yeah.
And the odds of getting killed as a fireman are 1 in 500.
Yeah. Something else is there, along with the depression, because, there was some premeditation there too. So, I mean, you depressed. I don't know.
Well, the thing is suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation.
Exactly.
He could have had a delusion. There's all these stories that he had some sort of illness, and he had problems that people have, but the length that he went to carry out and express his problems is pretty extreme.
Or take that action.
Okay, but
that
that's
action
him.
was really methodical.
Right.
So somebody out there who feels like they're depressed or has depression, what should they do? I mean, at what point do you know, or do you?
I mean, a lot of people don't. A
help.
lot of people also think that all depression is natural and will just pass. Some will, some won't. But 80% of physical illnesses pass on their own without seeing a doctor. So, mental health isn't any different. There's some that will pass and there's some that won't. And people aren't really educated as to what's like vegetative depression or major depression versus sort of like the blues, like light depression. So if it's going over a week, then you and you see somebody being depressed for over a week, that's something to look out for.
It's a sign, huh?
Yeah. And then the other thing is if they have a really uplift in mood after they've been depressed for a little while, that's a really clear sign that there might be suicidal ideation. They might be thinking about killing themselves. And
when it turns up?
Yeah, because they get this sense of relief that they finally figured a way to get out.
Oh, okay.
And so all of a sudden they're all happy, and it's actually because they've decided to kill themselves. And then you see a lot of suicide attempts after that. So that's a real big warning sign. But the point is being able to identify the depression so you don't get that far along. So you want to look for people that are lethargic, losing interest in things, giving away personal items, talking to old friends, and, with conversations that seem sort of like terminal. You remember our great time in high school? God, I wish I could go back there. Nothing's the same anymore. That kind of thing.
Okay.
Anything that's negative or whatever. And I always say there's no hurt in asking. If you think somebody's depressed or you think somebody's suicidal, ask them, because it's better to ask them and have them be a little mad at you than
to have something go down. I wish I would have.
And that's part of the stigma. People are afraid to talk about it. It's like
Nobody ever comes up to you on the street and says, "I'm depressed."
No,
some people do, but we're so trained to block it out.
Lakers win, and I'm depressed.
Yeah, I'm depressed, and we're trained to block it out because we want to avoid conflict. We don't want to deal with serious problems, and we're sensitive ourselves and have our own issues. So
yes, we are.
But I'm not.
There's another word for that.
That's called denial. By the way, if you we have great phone lines, and they're always there, 24/7. The number is 888-601-6040, 888-601-6040. And there are counselors there. You can call and chat with them, and there's no pressure. I mean, you can, just if you have a problem. I've known a couple people, good friends. Mike Wallace was a dear friend, and he suffered from horrible depression.
He wrote a great book about it, actually.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And Dick Cavett, who's still alive.
The anchor, Mike Wallace.
Yeah,
60 minutes.
Wow.
And then Dick Cavett, who's I've been a friend with for 30 years, he suffers from depression, and found himself on a bridge a couple of times.
Let's don't forget Paul Lind.
And Robin used to make he used to tell me, he put it in his comedy act. He'd wake up every day and say jump, and we all thought it was funny at the time.
Yeah.
So. So if you think you have, or somebody in your family has it, you should reach out. I want to talk for a second about John Hamm. Mad Men starts up again, coming up for its final season. But to the surprise of everybody, thank God, we find out that John had spent some time in alcohol rehabilitation or some sort of rehab. And we applaud him for that, for coming out and actually saying that he did that.
I thought his press release was pretty classy. You know, a lot of these things, people wait till there's a crisis, and if there isn't a crisis, then they just cover up that they're going on vacation or something. But I like that he kind of came forward, and this whole, anonymous thing versus not anonymous. If you're in the public life, you don't really have that choice. I think it's good that he broke the news early, and he sort of got to shape and control how it's viewed. And I think that's healthy. He's being honest with people, which is what it's all about.
And doing it in public is no fun. I've been there, and they
Me too.
When I first,
But he's also a drinking role model in a way, which is, I think, the irony of it, and that's why people like this story, because he's on a show of people just pounding,
boozing them back. But that was the time, though. Everybody had scotch in their office.
But that's what's so romantic about the show. This idea that you could just drink all day and smoke and bang all your secretaries and nobody would care.
It was that era,
right.
Bang.
So
there was a movie called Huckster with what's his
you like that, Pat?
What's the guy who was in that movie on Gone with the Wind? The main star,
Clark Gable.
Yeah, he was in this movie called Huckster.
Right.
Same premise. Advertising agency. Probably everybody.
Pat, let's not get into banging. I think this is a topic, Pat, you should really run away from, being you were a sex addict.
Yeah.
I wasn't a sex addict.
That's not what I heard.
Keep coming back to the Bang Theory here.
I got the internet, man.
Well, I made a voicemail with sexual suggestions, but nothing went down.
Oh, that's like a failed sex addict.
Just shut up. Turns out I was the first drunk in New York City to try to get laid.
I know, it's unbelievable.
That's horrible.
All right.
God, what's wrong with you?
In New York,
You're never going to come on the show again after
I'm
getting
never
off
getting
a
back
long
on
flight. No.
Oh, well, there goes our budget.
No, I mean after a long
Looks
flight.
like a good one too, because I'm looking at these quality cameras, so I'm like, that's got a budget.
When I was in my last rehab, Tommy was my contact, and I had a BlackBerry that I snuck in. I put in a tree out in the forest. Hazelden has a 500-acre forest, and we would talk every day, right?
I'm like, why are you whispering?
He would call me,
woods, dude.
He would call me with these uplifting.
I'm like, why are you whispering? You're in the woods.
At least he wasn't communicating in
Hey,
owl, Morse code.
Hey, man. Hey, Pat. Yeah.
Well, it was good to have another voice.
I'm back in the woods, man. Oh, so you don't have to whisper, man. Unless Bigfoot's out there, you're good. You know what I mean? We had some great conversations, though, but that's what you need. When you're in recovery, you need someone who knows what that is, what that means, what that feels like. Yeah. It's AA and NA and all the recovery rooms are not like the YMCA. You don't go, yay, I'm here. That's the last place for people who can't get a grip on that thing. Yeah. But it seems normal for everybody else.
But Andrew, you're right that the way John treated this as in the press release and the way it came out, I haven't seen a word about it. And he wanted privacy, and he'll get it. But it's a lot different than when other people come out, Charlie Sheen or me or Tommy went through it.
He's on his way. He's on his way to. He's going on to his next show. Obviously, he handled himself well throughout the show. If he hit a bottom, we don't know.
Who, John?
Yeah, John. Yeah.
Well, we should tell people too. They drink that booze they drink is colored water. It's not like
they'd never get through the third take.
He told me those cigarettes they're made out of some sort of sawdust or something. And
yummy.
Do I have to make an apology to you by saying you're never coming on after a long flight?
No, it's fine. No, go ahead. Keep
snapped.
going. I didn't snap.
You came off a long flight?
I just became a truth teller, that's all.
You just came off a long flight?
You listening to
I came down from Portland, actually.
Okay.
Which is a good plug for your show.
We just actually came. Okay, yeah, plug that.
Yeah,
that was
plug
good.
your show.
Well, you're at the Helium Club, right?
At the Helium in Portland on. Come on, no one can see you, so help me, Lord.
I guess you're getting
her BlackBerry. Yeah.
The Helium Club.
We'll get to that.
Okay,
we were actually in the Swiss Alps,
right?
When the guy went down in the French Alps.
Wow.
Which is really kind of spooky because we were just flying in the whole area, and then the year before, we were flying over the same place that the Malaysia airline,
right?
The same exact flight,
right?
Yeah, Kuala Lumpur.
Wow.
We took the same flight, so it's kind of.
You went to Kuala Lumpur recently?
Yeah, well, we did the same flight. We went there and then went to Singapore, but it was that same flight.
Yeah.
And here we are the next year, I believe, and this thing goes down in the Swiss Alps.
Next time you're flying, just text me, all right, so I can.
Yeah, let you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Something's going down.
We had quite the text.
Please, right?
Last
let
night.
you know before I get on the plane, right? You reroute, right?
Let's take a call.
No
here
Alps flights.
Let's
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
It's the
You need
light.
sleep?
It's the pressure in the plane, Pat. It's making me insane.
Greg from Denver's on. Greg, how are you? Welcome to Clean Radio.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. One of the things that I've found in my recovery that helps out a lot is giving back to the community, and I just wanted to get your guys' feedback. I was homeless in 2000 because of alcohol addiction and severe depression, and I lost a friend to childhood cancer, and because of that loneliness, now I take kids with cancer to Major League Ballpark. So even though I'm currently unemployed, I'm finding that the more effort I put into helping the community and serving my community, it really helps my recovery.
Yeah, recovery right there.
Giving back's important. One is that you actually give something and destigmatize problems for people that need it, but also it actually forces you to engage socially and not isolate. And we see that happen a lot with people that are addicts, where they either involve themselves with people that only do drugs, or they lock themselves in a room and start watching TV all the time, and then they don't have a life. So it's about getting out. And I applaud the fact that even without a job, you find a way to still give out time and share. That really
is Greg's job
impressive
right now.
Yeah, and also those things will pass. Not having a job passes. Somehow something will come through, and it's all about attitude and confidence. So just keep it up. I really
thanks, Greg, doing God's work out there. Roger in Salem, Oregon, has a question for us. Hello, Roger. How are you?
Hi. I'm down at the Oregon State Hospital, but I had a quick question. This is Roger Ken Underhill, and I wondered over the years I noticed certain people strewing their clothes about, and I wanted to listen offline to what you had to say about that related to mental illness.
Strewing their clothes about. Well, probably they were dirty. I mean, I'm not really sure what he means by that comment.
I don't think it's a sign of much, really.
Well, I mean, I think he's probably referring to. I think he's probably referring to people that probably have thought disorders and are homeless, which is a subset of the schizophrenic population, and they tend to be disorganized, and also people that have bipolar illness and they get manic. Sometimes they'll have some weird behavior, and it's important to understand the difference between the two, but only if you're handing out medication. Other than that, it's important to know that really both aren't necessarily dangerous. A lot of people are afraid of these people, but in fact, most of them, even though they have things going on in their head that we don't understand or we can't comprehend because it's in their head, most of them can easily be spoken to.
We get, and
helped.
And helped, and that was my point. And sometimes we can get overwhelmed, or you can get overwhelmed listening because there's so many problems.
I'm overwhelmed listening. But,
well, you're part of it here.
But the good thing is that, there's always a new awareness that's there. And there's always help that comes from somewhere. So I'm mostly impressed by just recovery as a whole.
Right.
And how it's just over the years, it's just progressed and it's just getting more and more broad.
And help doesn't have to be 30 days, 60 days, 90 at Clean. We do inpatient and outpatient options to fit all your needs.
Yeah, we're really in a new renaissance of mental health treatment and of substance abuse. Of course, I would always like to go faster and have there be more, but I think we're seeing people really realizing that these are problems that are just getting greater. Legalization of marijuana has led to more awareness of actually the negative effects of marijuana.
Because it speeded up the process.
Because it's speeding it up big time, right?
Somebody died this past week from
ingesting. Well, I think it was a suicide, right? But it was marijuana related. Yeah. See, they never tracked marijuana related deaths, so everybody said that nobody had ever died or hurt themselves from
it's the harmless
marijuana.
drug.
Right, and that's just not true. I mean, obviously now we're seeing people, in fact, all over Portland. I was just in Portland this past week, and then I was up in Washington. They have billboards all over DUII, driving under the influence of intoxicants. And so there's a big public health awareness right now about DUIs, which I had never seen before. So it's obviously become an issue, and people are having to become aware of it.
Nobody counts the times that you get hit from behind by somebody who's stoned. Anyway, my point was 888-601-6040 is our number, or cleantreatmentcenters.com. We're going to talk to Tommy almost pretty much the whole last half hour, but tell us about your Portland gig. It's at the Helium Club.
At the Helium Club. It'll be my second time there. I really like Portland. I'd never been there before. Right. Never been to Portland. My grandparents, when I was growing up, lived in Medford and Gold Hill, Oregon, which are way out in the woods somewhere. But what was great for me as a kid growing up, going from Washington, D.C. all the way to Medford during Thanksgiving and during the holidays, and fishing in those lakes and stuff.
We have
never been to the city.
We actually have a rehab in Long Beach, Washington.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Was it a cultural shock for you?
Not really, because I was raised in Wyoming, and in Laramie and Casper, Wyoming, and Fort Collins, Colorado, before I moved to Washington, D.C. So I already had, I already was this kid that was just like a Midwest kid, but I moved to the city, and it was kind of awkward because I would go back and forth. So it was kind of weird.
Yeah, we were up there.
Sort of like the Osmonds, like a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll.
Yeah, it was more like Sly and the Family Stone. Because they were white and I was black, so it was like I would go out with my white grandparents and my family out in Wyoming, and then go back into deep, dark Washington D.C.
You're going to give away tickets here, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. So if you go to our Facebook page,
Oh, am I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's on Facebook.com/Clean Radio. Facebook.com/Clean Radio. And if you go up to Tommy and say you heard him on Clean Radio, you'll be rewarded as well.
Yeah,
possibly
maybe win a brand new Camry. Now, I don't know where you're going to get that from, but
possibly cash. I actually took public transportation in Portland.
Well, don't do that. I saw it on Cops. Don't do that.
No, Pat and I did a live show in Portland, and he's still highly disturbed that he couldn't get a ride.
I couldn't get a taxi.
He was playing the piano. He was tap dancing. Nobody would pull over.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, I went to a recovery meeting way out, and no taxi would come out there, and so I actually. This sounds stupid, right? But
too late now.
I know,
yeah, right?
It's on camera, bro. They expect you to finish.
So I took a bus back, and I also transferred. Took a bus with a transfer.
Well, I'm impressed.
I was so impressed.
That's pretty average.
It's just what
Detroit,
half the population does every day just to get to work.
Yeah,
Pat.
exactly. Transfer is average.
Most of our listeners out there are just horrified by the fact that you actually had to get on a bus.
Exactly.
Don't
lose your transfer.
My point was not the bus. My point was I couldn't get a taxi. They wouldn't come to the neighborhood.
You sound like me in New York City, but
right.
Go ahead.
By the way, our call-in number is like a taxi number. It's 800-222-5222.
Back to segue.
800-222-5222. Yeah, Portland's great, and
I loved it.
There's a lot of recovery in that area, thanks to Andrew.
I just got a house up there.
Oh yeah, it's really nice up there. I was really
the weather
impressed.
was beautiful this week.
Oh, I haven't been there lately. I don't want to go near there until I'm sure that it's warm.
Yeah.
Is it getting there? Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was like low 70s, sunny.
Let me shift gears for a minute, Andrew, and ask you about this situation out in Indiana.
Sure.
It's the worst HIV outbreak in history. 79 new infections already in the last couple of months.
Yep.
In this little town of Austin, which doesn't have a grocery store or a rehab anywhere nearby. But apparently sharing of needles, I guess they didn't get word out there. It's just out of control.
Yeah, I mean, this is another thing. Americans have a very short memory. And we're seeing this with a lot of things, from vaccinations to, now we're seeing it with needle sharing. So all these bloodborne illnesses, it's not just HIV, but also hepatitis C and A and B as well. These are all transferred by needles. Also, there's a ton of different things like syphilis, also bacterial infections. There's all sorts of issues that come with sharing needles. And unfortunately, as we've seen oxycodone dry up in availability on the street, heroin is cheaper. Everybody's switching to heroin. Heroin's getting pumped into our country like crazy right now, and up through Mexico mostly. And we're seeing just large amounts of what we didn't see for a long time, which were HIV-related infections. And, I remember the 80s. I remember when AIDS hit hard, and I had a lot of good friends die of AIDS. And it's heartbreaking to see ignorance and lack of good public policy that gives out clean needles, allowing people to die.
Yeah. Thanks to 79.
The awareness is up there.
There were
now.
79 new cases.
At least.
79 new cases, and all 79 were from shared needles.
And people don't realize also that they think that just because addicts are getting HIV, that somehow that's okay. They're the ones shooting up drugs. They deserve it, all that kind of hate speech kind of stuff. But those people sleep with other people, and those people sleep with other people. And this stuff, you could be 2 degrees removed from this, and all of a sudden it affects you. So to think that we live in an isolated, perfect little glass bubble and everything's fine is just ignorance.
Connected.
Yeah.
And thanks to our dear friend Magic Johnson, whose Michigan State Spartans are going to the Final Four.
Really?
He was at the game.
Like that.
Thanks to him, there's a face on HIV, and that's the kind of
He
thing
did a great job.
we need for everything.
Yeah.
We'll be back in...
And all the unsung heroes from the 80s who kind of put this thing out to the public. Like my brother was one. When this thing, nobody knew what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And they got out there. They were advocates. They went to the government. They did a lot of stuff to get
nobody
this stuff
knew what it
really
was.
heard.
Remember, everybody thought they had AIDS.
Well, it was the gay cancer for a while.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Yeah.
Tommy Davidson's with us. We'll be back in a minute. Stay with us.
Are you addicted to drugs or alcohol but unable to commit to an inpatient rehab stay? Introducing KLEAN Treatment Center's Outpatient Treatment. This drug and alcohol treatment program is designed specifically for the working professional. Don't let your commitments of running a business, taking care of a child, or maintaining your college classes get in the way of your recovery from addiction. With daytime, evening, or individualized programs, KLEAN's Outpatient Treatment will fit your life. Call now for a free screening. Professional guidance is standing by. Now back to Los Angeles. This is KLEAN Radio.
Welcome back. Pat O'Brien here along with Andrew Spanswick. And just to show you that we're all human beings in here, there was a round of apologies.
Yeah, I had to admit that I did see Kiss Kiss Bang Bang last night, followed by Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Right.
So
You saw both of them back to back?
yeah, so that all that banging meant that I sort of was thinking too much about Pat's history, and I have to apologize for that.
Listen to that Latin song. Bang, bang!
Not an apology.
That's the best I can do in the short term.
Pretty amazing.
That's pretty good. That's why I love you, Andrew.
Okay.
It is why I love you, by the way. Buddy
It's the
Totten.
medieval joust
How's it
restaurant.
going?
Buddy Totten is here. Buddy Totten is here, and he runs all our social media. Hello, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, man?
We're good, man.
All right. Well, first off, I'd like to say hi to Sarah. She's responsible for a lot of our content online at cleantreatmentcenters.com and cleanradio.com, and I'd like everybody to go and check out her latest blog. It's about the heroin epidemic in the Midwest.
Yep.
So very informative. Please go and check it out. So here's what's happening on Facebook.com/cleanradio and on Twitter @cleanradio. So first up, we have Janet. It says, Pat, I have 32 days sober, and I have a lot of fear about living life without drugs. How did you overcome your fear of living life sober?
Well, thank you, and thanks for your message. That's the biggest fear. Ironically, I'm going to speak for myself. When I should have been thinking about other things, I was thinking about I can't go to Italy, right? And drink wine. And I think people think they can't live it. And Tommy, you and I know many people, and Andrew, of course, knows probably more than us, but we know a lot of people between the three of us who are musicians and actors, and they thought they could, you thought you could never go back on stage, right? And be funny again without drinking or using. Am I making that up?
Well, my thing was I never could do that on stage. My thing was I was always isolated when I did it.
But to write?
Yeah. No, just period. I couldn't perform like that. So it was just one of those things where I just isolated. It was just like I was just gone.
Yeah. But I mean, my point was that a lot of people, like musicians.
Yeah, they think that a lot of creativity comes out of that stuff, but give
like
yourself,
Joe Walsh is one of them who thought he could never go back and be Joe Walsh. When in fact, he went back and got better.
Yeah, and in actuality, you never come back to the person that you were.
Why would you want to?
But you discover another person. One of my first sponsors said, when you start enjoying your life so much that drinking and using doesn't even come into the picture, that's when you're in recovery.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, also, I think a lot with musicians and other artists, sometimes there's something about that if they do become successful, they're scared to change anything that they think might have helped get them there.
Right.
Because they're so lucky. So it's like, drinking and using and, hanging out with these guys. If I stop doing that, my career is going to fall apart. And so they have to find other people and other solutions to fill those gaps.
Or to tell them that that's a
mess, it's a myth,
and they can see how that denial has to do with cutting out the other part. The other part where you can't show up to a meeting, the other part where you can't show up to rehearsal, the other part where you cannot do the things that you used to be able to do as an artist because of it.
Yeah.
2,336 days ago, I had my last drink, and I haven't been really bothered by it at all.
I never counted, but
I still am a little sensitive. Yeah. But
just for the person that just talked to you, Pat, it's every day.
Yeah,
it's every day, and today that person is sober and can do that until 12 tonight.
Yeah, and 32 days, by the way,
just being happy.
32 days is big.
That's what it comes down
over
to.
a month. Go ahead, buddy.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so Pat, Robert says, I'm newly sober and I have some major resentments toward my family. What were some of your major resentments and how did you deal with them and how did you let go of them?
Welcome back to our third hour here. No, resentments are a big deal, and I think it's just because of my personality. It just took a while to get over them, and I'm not over a lot of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And all of my resentments are foolish because all my problems were my own. And, I blame my boss. I blame this.
Thanks.
But I had a great, not you. That's coming, though.
Wow, he just said it on the air.
He had some comments about the furniture he was going to say on the air, but he changed.
but
I just got accused by sex addicts of being a bad boss.
Here's the
Tough crowd.
Right?
All
Tough
right.
crowd tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's my thing on
Okay,
resentments.
seriously.
The only way to get rid of resentments is to eliminate the joy of judgment. And so you got to work both on your resentments and judging other people.
Yeah,
Okay?
absolutely.
I think also it's important to realize that resentments, even once you've gotten rid of them, doesn't mean they're not going to keep coming on. It's a lot of it has to do with how you handle things all the time. And I think relearning how to interpret misunderstandings, or if people use or abuse you, how do you handle that as a person? How does that come through in terms of your character?
Buddy, thank you. Good job again today, as
bet.
usual.
All right, the conversation continues at Facebook and Twitter. Thank you so much.
All right. I actually take advantage of Andrew, to be honest with you. On some,
I saw that comment. Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you. No, when I have a resentment or a problem, I'll actually ask Andrew about it every now and then. I'll say, should I, and he'll help me. So it's good to talk to people about it. Tommy Davidson, he's heading up to Portland.
Here I
He's
am.
going to the Helium Club.
Nice segue.
Tell me about Adult Swim. You got a show coming up on there or on there?
Beautiful show. By
By the way, it's the 25th anniversary of In Living Color.
And another beautiful show.
Right.
Yeah, even more beautifuler. Is that a word? Beautifuler?
It is now.
Yeah, it is now. It's just one of the things that I have, another thing in my life that I have that's just incredible. This thing we did a movie about 4 years ago now, I think, called Black Dynamite, was turned into a cartoon. Brilliant Carl Jones, along with the star, Michael Jai White, and Adult Swim, and another company got together and made this animated, series out of this movie that was good in the first place. The same guys that did the animation for and wrote the Boondocks.
Wow.
So and it was on one of the hippest outlets on cable for kids,
Yeah.
And so here I am again on another show that's special, like In Living Color. 25 years ago, we can't believe that, but
Yeah, I know, right?
Keenan, the Professor Xavier of comedy, put together all these cats, like Sammy would say.
Right, you
and we all got together and we did this show that was right on time. Right at the heels of Saturday Night Live not being funny anymore, and too many laugh tracks and too many sitcoms, and then finally something that was actually funny in real life.
You guys were edgy.
On the air.
I mean, come on, you guys were.
we went there, it was perfect. And here were these networks that were just being born.
Right.
Fox was a local news network. This was starting to go national.
Yeah.
And they were doing The Simpsons and what was it, Tracy.
They were a hot network. They were the hottest
Tracy,
network.
what was
right
it,
then.
Tracy Allman? Tracy.
Well, I'd forgotten about that. Tracy Allman Show.
Show.
Yeah.
Her show.
Yeah.
And Married with Children. So there's these edgy shows that were starting to come on the air because of these local stations. In Living Color came along right about the time they were starting to cross over into the nation with 21 Jump Street and what was it, Beverly Hills 90210.
Yep.
And it was just like the perfect eclipse for the show.
What time is it on?
I don't know.
Okay.
I believe it's 7:30 on Sunday.
And it's all time shiftable on the internet.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cable. So just
I'm
check your local listings. You can see it on YouTube. Any new
Yeah.
episode that you want.
Adult Swim is a
Except for
great
tonight's.
channel. I'm actually
You got shows. Electric.
a
What is it, Funky
regular
Chicken?
on Robot Chicken. I'm a
Nice.
swearing
I like that.
reporter.
I like
And
that.
then 3 seasons of Hot
Talk
Package.
about typecasting.
Right. Finally, they got him. He's casted right.
3. Does it say pick on Pat Day?
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
Behind. Oh my God.
Oh,
does.
wait,
not.
I'm sorry. I thought it was April Fool's Day. My watch is off.
You're a little ahead.
And then
right?
the other one is Hot Package, which makes fun of all these moronic entertainment
seen
shows.
that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I haven't seen that show.
So Tommy, so we're gonna give out tickets. By the way, I want to mention that. Go to facebook.com/clean radio. What's been the best thing about sobriety and recovery for you?
Clarity. My thinking, because that's where really it all lies for me. You know, and it took me a long time to realize that it's what's going on in my head that makes me different than other people. You know, if I don't drink and use, then I don't do the things I do when I do that. You know, but what the space between that action is what's going on in my thinking.
Mm-hmm. And you know who puts those thoughts in your head? You do.
Oh yeah. Or they're already there, or for whatever reason, I treat reality a little bit different than other people do. You know, I can, you know, somebody can say, hey, hello to me in a certain way, and I'll be like, what's wrong with you? And I can go with that. Yeah. You know, you take that, spill a coffee, don't do something I want you to do, you know, and then lose you know, an audition or something, and I'll be in a mind frame where where's mine? You know, it just works on so many different levels. So clarity, you know, consistency, you know, becoming dependable.
Sounds like regulating your emotions.
Yeah, regulating my emotions. But I can't do it by myself. Right. One of the things, the biggest thing was to surrender myself to something that I knew nothing about, which was alcoholism.
You know? Andrew, why do you suppose that so many alcoholics and addicted people with addictions do that to themselves, to ourselves? Put those thoughts in our head and then ride them, you know?
I mean, it's sort of a chicken and egg thing. It's hard to say whether people that tend to ruminate, as it's called, you know, and tend to have other issues with self-regulation, tend to self-medicate with alcohol or other drugs, or whether alcohol and drugs disinhibit us and then bring out these negative sides of our character. Mm-hmm. So I would say it's probably a little bit of both. And, you know, there's some people that are always known as like the happy drunk, you know, like Robin Williams was always considered happy, and they fight their demons at home. But, you know, a lot of this is really just about self-medicating. It's people trying to feel better. Most people that are using drugs are not using them because they want to feel bad. They're trying to either feel not sick, or they're trying to just feel okay.
Or they think it works.
Or they're under some delusion that it's making them better. But, you know, that's early on. You know, as soon as you've been doing it for like, you know, 15 years, there's no more of that on any drug.
I was wondering what the heck's going on here. Yeah.
William from the aforementioned Long Beach up in Washington is on. Hello, Bill. William.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What's up?
What's up, Bill?
Well, I just had a question. You know, I recently strung together 7 months, but I relapsed just for one night. That was March 2nd. You know, and I had stopped, you know, I didn't go to a meeting for about a week. I didn't talk to my sponsor for about 2 weeks, you know, because since I had put together a little bit of time, you know, that was the most time I ever had, you know, I believed that the whole time while I was getting sober that I didn't have to make recovery my whole life.
I think you're bringing up probably the most important issue we've heard tonight, and that is that there's a stigma on relapse, just as there's a stigma on alcoholism and addiction.
Like, oh, there they are. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work, and whatever. And, you know, the fact that you're able to get in even as quickly as you did, I applaud. But, you know, my goal with working with people and trying to inform people in the public is that if you relapse, you know, you have the tools to get sober. You've already done it once. So, you know, don't go through a lot of pain and suffering and guilt and shame about it. Just get back on the wagon and start going again. And the longer, you know, the most dangerous time for an addict is actually when they relapse. That's when the most overdoses happen, because they're not used to how much drugs they should take. They tend to overdo it. They also tends to be new drugs on the scene, and they don't have their regular dealer and all sorts of stuff. So it's a very dangerous time, and I applaud people that get back into recovery as quickly as they can.
And I think, you know, you can make it, in many ways, you have to make it a priority. I mean, I go to at least a meeting a day somewhere, no matter where I am, and it just gets to be a habit.
The counting thing's weird. You know, counting your days is kind of weird, I think, because it's sort of a reward, and people hang a lot on it. But I almost applaud more the person that relapses, is honest about it, and then, you know, doesn't care so much about the number of days. They care about their sobriety that day.
Right. By the way, I have an app. Seems to be, the only reason I knew my days is I have an app that says that.
It just seems to be a part of building the foundation that you need just to be in recovery and to be okay. And just to be okay. I mean, it's a program of honesty, and one of the things that's hard is to come back and say, look, you know, I fell, but, you know, this is what we do. You know, that's why we have this thing. And another important thing is, and it says this in the preamble in our program, we know just a little, you know. We know just a little. So what you know and what you learned over the last 7 months is what kept you sober today. And it'll build.
If you're thinking about relapsing or think you have a problem with any of the topics today, you can call our 24/7 hotline number at Clean Center, 888-601-6040, 888-601-6040, and we have counselors available there. I want to switch topics just for a minute. We have an extended family here at Clean, and we need your help to find a 19-year-old son of an extended family member who was last seen at USC on Friday. His name is Eloy Vasquez. Shouldn't be hard to miss him. 6 feet tall, 175 pounds, dark hair, dark brown hair. And there are details on this missing, in fact, a picture of him on our website, facebook.com/Clean Radio. We're all a family, not just us, but everybody. And this poor mom is trying to find her son, and I can't imagine that, but we're trying to help, and so that's that.
Good. That's the good part.
That's the good part. We're trying to help. So, what else is going on with you besides dynamite and black dynamite and you do the trips? Are you going back overseas again?
I just came back.
You just came
from Kuwait.
Right.
Did a show in Kuwait.
I thought you were going to take me with you sometime. Seriously.
Yeah, but I called and you weren't around. I think you were doing this prepping for the show. It was a joke, by the way.
He's not in a joking
He's
mood
serious.
tonight. Do
Yeah,
you
he
see
looked
that?
at me like,
anything we
prepping
say
for the
he's
show. It's
like-
nothing. They put the cameras up. I come in here. I get in here on time, and I do it.
Is that what I sound like?
No.
Okay.
That was just I was a good try. Things are going good. I mean, I couldn't. I'm in the process of doing all the things that I've always wanted to do. And I've been in the business for 30 years,
Yikes.
and it seems like I just started. Just started.
That's the good news.
I'm starting to be able to go off in my own directions, producing. I'm totally self-sufficient as far as an artist goes, as far as my dependence on managers and agents and stuff like that. Do my own stuff.
The medium's changing,
really
right?
cool, yeah.
I mean, we're in this new thing with the internet that's just exploding in new ways with new channels, and distribution's changed so much. I mean, it's a lot. And I think this is a thing that, people say, oh, I was an alcoholic or an addict and I missed my shot. Shots come along all the time.
We don't know.
You just...
we don't know.
You
Red
just gotta-
Fox.
Yeah,
when he finally scored that TV show, Sanford and Son,
after
he was in his 60s.
Yeah, and he just been an underground comic forever.
Yeah, there's no...
But also, everybody always comes back. Matthew Perry's got a new show now.
Yeah.
Show me the person that knows all the answers, and they won't be home because they'll be off having fun with their answers.
And I always tell people, and Andrew made a...
You know what I mean? They're not going to tell you.
Andrew made a good point earlier that when I think it was a guy from Denver who called and said he's worried about finding a job. If you're in recovery, that shouldn't be your first worry, because if you get sober, those things will come to you. And I don't know how to explain that.
And if you get a job while you're out there like that, you'll most likely lose it anyway.
It's an issue, and that's one of the things that we're doing. I just started a nonprofit. I just built a food truck with our group, and we're putting together a whole thing selling coffee and food and juices to people, and we're doing job training for people coming out of rehab.
That's really cool.
And then all the profits go to pay for indigent clients, so people that don't have any money or resources.
Really cool.
Yeah, so we're excited about that.
And I'll be pouring the coffee in that truck. I will.
That's great.
We're going to go out with it. And, Tommy, will you do it with us? We're going to go around town.
Why not?
And we'll have good coffee, and we'll have...
Why not?
Our sponsored juice company will provide Pure Simple Juice. Will provide juice on there, and Lydia up there makes great juice. The one I favor is Beets, which I had about 8 of them in a row. And finally, Andrew said, "You know what you're drinking, right?" And
Pat thought that he should drink 5 bottles of the cleanse all at once, and it led to a little bit of an issue before the radio show.
I said, "I'm an alcoholic. What do you think I'm going to do?"
My God.
Yeah.
Well, do you find that
it was like genocide coming out of the toilet?
Right. I mean, my God. You just see that flush, please.
Right. Bang bang.
Are you high tonight?
I wish I was.
So the point is with Tommy is that there's always something, right? I mean, there's always something new coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been around in this business for, I would say, a good amount of time, but the thing I've been able to have, and I'm going to say today,
right?
Because it's true today, is some balance between what I'm doing professionally, where I am personally. I'm okay. I mean, my kids, they're You know, half of them are out of college, going doing their own thing, and you know, I have stuff that I want to happen, but I know it's not going to happen without me working for it. You know, I have a realistic perception of what's going on with me, for the most part and most of the time, and that's a lot. That's saying a lot.
That's great.
Because this thing will test every part of you. The business that I'm in, it'll test every part of you because you're not in control. You're not in control of a lot of things that you want to do are dependent on other people.
It's collaborative effort.
You have to have a lot of patience, a lot of confidence in yourself, you know, and you have to go after the things that you know about you can stop you from doing those things, even if you have to ask for help.
You know, it's funny. I'm just thinking that Tommy and I have seen each other at our worst. And here we sit.
That's for sure.
And that's a gift.
That's why today matters. Today really matters a lot. I mean, today, it was one of my favorite, my own phrase is, today is the last day I have until tomorrow.
Well, you never know what's going to happen. You know,
That's it.
Move to Lockerbie, Scotland to get away, and a 747 drops on you. Andrew,
that's the deal. I mean, you know, nobody that morning was taking a shave with World Trade Center going, hey, honey, you know, I'm not coming home.
Yeah, nobody knows their expiration date.
Hey, Andrew.
Blade Runner.
Andrew, tell us about the IOP, because that's new for us.
Yeah, we've got actually we have several. IOP stands for intensive outpatient programming. Basically, it's a way that you can get help but still carry on with your life.
So if you're a college student and you're raising kids,
college students, or you're working, or you have kids, or we offer programming during the day in Portland and Bellevue.
You're doing a lot, man.
And here in West Hollywood area, actually right across from the Roxy on Sunset. But we're also starting a new evening program, which is really interesting, which is about harm reduction, and this is a big topic that's starting to come up. Like
what is that?
Well, instead of just saying everybody has to be abstinent and that there's no way to talk to you until you bottom out, it's about meeting people where they are. So if somebody's an active addict and they want to still work towards getting help, we don't judge them about their using. We join with them in a therapeutic relationship.
It's the way it works.
Yeah, and then slowly move them towards becoming abstinent, hopefully.
And you know what the question I get a lot now is, I just participated in an intervention the last couple of days, and I get this question all the time, is how do you pay? I mean, what's the insurance deal right now with Obamacare and
it's not so much
Affordable Care Act?
Yeah, the Affordable Care Act, which is Obamacare, is really actually not about anything other than insurance reform. And it was an attempt to take basically what Medicaid and Medicare and hospitals end up sucking up as indigent cost pass-throughs, which means we're all paying for it anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's all coming from the government one way or the other. So
my point is there's a way to pay for things.
Well, the way was, what happened was we tried to privatize it, basically. We said we're going to privatize indigent care and we're going to force companies to pay for health insurance. It really doesn't do anything to reform the whole healthcare system, which is what's really needed. We actually need to be able to provide better treatments, more effective treatments, and do it in cost-effective ways that are helpful. And access. I mean, access. You know, people don't have access to care.
Really get it to the people who really need it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think there are so many things now. I mean, you know, and just to bring it full circle, it seems like everything that's in the news now, and before the show, Andrew was saying the news is so, because now we have depression in there, now we have all this stuff is coming up, the thing in Indiana with needles, and Kentucky is having a heroin epidemic, and so these things are in front of us every day. And I think what happens is that the good part of that is, and don't listen to me carefully, there's nothing good about it, but the collateral part of it is that people get information about it.
The thing is, I don't think these are really new stories. I mean, we've been getting these stories for years.
They're finally being
What's
heard.
going on is that we see the cultural shift towards legalization and criminalization and helping people is starting. That conversation is starting to take front and center. Because, you know, where's all this tax money going to go? So, you know, you legalize marijuana and all of a sudden you got billions of dollars in tax revenue nationally, and the providers are looking to get a piece of that so they can help people, and the government's trying to get a piece of it so they can cost shift it out from somewhere else and, you know,
like with alcohol.
Expand their budgets. Right, like with alcohol tax. Alcohol tax doesn't go to help anything alcohol related. Yeah, it all goes to pay for whatever, you know.
That's why they took it back.
Yeah.
Our number again is 888-601-6040. Go to our Facebook, facebook.com/Clean Radio, and you can get, how many tickets we're giving away? 100? Oh, 4, right? 4 tickets on there. And if you go up to Tommy at the gig at the Helium Club.
Show.
What?
This guy gave away the whole show.
You
Just
did. Well, you know.
Well, if you go up to Tommy
200
at the
days.
club and say, we heard you on Clean Radio, and that's KLEAN, we're not the pretend one.
Do a private show at my house afterwards. Could probably get more than 4 people in.
nice. Nice. I'll do it too.
And look for Tommy
Real comedian, man.
Black Dynamite TV, and man, he's got a lot of stuff going. Adult Swim's a great channel, by the way, Comedy Central channel.
Yeah, we're happy about it.
And you're
25th
very happy.
anniversary of In Living Color. The Oxygen Channel is going to be running an exclusive interview on me on Oprah's show called Where Are They Now?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm happy about that. That's coming up later on in this
And you know they
month.
run that. She did. I did one of those. And she runs it. It's run 40 times, so it's a good deal.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
She
that.
was great.
They did a great
show,
job with you,
did
too.
Kevin
Pat.
Hart
If
show.
you haven't seen, they should YouTube your appearance there. It was pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was good. Tommy, thank you. I love you,
Thanks
man.
for having me, man.
Good to see you. Good luck with
Good
everything.
to see you, man.
We love you. I love you.
Love you too, brother.
You're one of the reasons
Nice to
I'm
meet you.
sober.
You're doing a lot of good things.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
God bless you, bro.
Yeah.
All right, we got to go. Thanks for listening. We have a big show. Next week is Easter. By the way, Happy Palm Sunday for those of you who celebrate that. And Andrew, thanks.
Hey, JC, won't you fight for me? Hannah, Santa Cruz,
Remember,
Superstar. That was from Jesus Christ Superstar. You guys
I'm
remember that?
impressed.
There's 2 days you don't have to worry about.
Nice.
Tomorrow, which hasn't
I
happened
didn't do
yet.
Godspell, which is kind of corny.
Yeah, well.
With Jesus Christ Superstar.
Just don't go into rant. I'm over that.
Yeah. All right, there you go.
Guess what?
What?
We're done.
It sucks.
See you next time.
All right.
Are you or someone you care about addicted to drugs or alcohol? Addiction ruins lives and destroys families. Bring an end to the pain and suffering by calling KLEAN Treatment Centers. KLEAN has helped people from around the world break free by not only treating the addiction, but the underlying causes and providing vital aftercare so people can get clean and stay clean with no gimmicks and no false promises. If you need immediate assistance or just have questions, call KLEAN Treatment Centers for guidance. A much better life awaits.